I'm Matt Fletcher. I'm the Director of Systems Integration and Development for Illinois Bone and Joint Institute. There's really two reasons why Reliable was kind of the first call on my list, I guess, in terms of talking about security and talking about managed services. One is you always want to have an outside vendor do your SRAs and penetration testing. So it was a natural fit to kind of get a sense of how working with our IT would be, and it was a natural first step because they could evaluate our systems and our services very objectively without any concern there. So that was what started the conversations. And then during the time that we've actually been working to plan the SRA, to get the schedules set up with Lance and Mike and the guys, we started to have some service issues with our current managed IT services company. Nothing major, but enough to kind of start to make me a little bit kind of curious about what other companies are out there that do manage IT. And so those were really the two areas that Mike and Lance and I have been talking about. First, let's get this SRA and pen test done so that we know, what's kind of on fire, what's high priority, low priority, and where we can improve as a company, and really start to set up an annual kind of method to that was never done before for the company, and really seemed like an area of risk for the company in general. And then through that, my thought is, and I think Mike and Lance agreed, that we would have a good base to start having talks about what managed services and a migration would look like should we need to go that route. So that's kind of where we started and kind of how we got to where we're at. Through the experience, the SRA and pen test, it's been extremely positive in terms of, I think the team comes in and they do a really professional job. They do a great job of kind of giving you very human kind of feedback on what they see. You can tell that the team is very competent in the areas that they're focused on. And I think the interesting thing when we went into the idea of the security risk assessment and pen test was it seems like sometimes people ask for this to be done and they don't want to really know what the problems are, and I'm the exact opposite. I'd rather know all the skeletons in the closet so that we can fix them, because the only other way you find out is when they're taken advantage of. So it was great to work with them. I think that at the end of the risk assessment, what I like is that we sat down, we had a good meeting about, hey, if there was something that was absolutely like a risk that day, that they would work through that with us, but then that they'll put them into categories, high priority, low priority, and provide us a very detailed analysis, which we're going to work through together. The other nice thing about the post kind of SRA and pen test that I appreciate is that they're very, that the Reliable IT team was very good at talking to me about how I wanted that data to be presented, which is obviously for organizations can be a very sensitive part of the process. Is like, do you just get the whole board together and hear all the bad, or do you actually give it to the people at the organization who understand it and break it up into its component parts, and like take the organizational risk to the C-suite and talk to them about it, take the technical stuff to your technical teams and address it that way, which I like. So I'm excited about that piece. We're going to talk through that, and I'll be able to kind of process and distill the information and then hopefully act on it quickly to remediate the issue. So I think that we're looking forward to it, as much as it's a weird thing to say about a risk assessment when most of the time it's almost a negative thing for companies to think about where they're not sufficient, but I'd rather find out about it now and address it. So.